We will continue with the second Nobel Laureate, Professor Dan Shechtman. He is ready. Now, we speak frequently about entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship is so wide. Okay, so even creating a company selling pencils to companies selling, sunscreen, whatever. But here we have a different one, and this is the powerful aspect of this presentation. Technological entrepreneurship, technological entrepreneurship. And this is one of the biggest and most important factors in achieving peace in the world. So we are linking science, entrepreneurship, and politics here. Please, Danny, on stage.
The green is on, is forward.
So let's see who is the best, the politician, the scientist, or the entrepreneur.
Thank you. Thank you, Florian, for inviting me to give this talk here. I come to all his conferences, wherever he does it. So the subject of my talk is technological entrepreneurship, key to world prosperity and peace. And later on, I will explain why I talk about this subject while my scientific subject is totally different. So let us start. I want to start with the problem. And the problem is the demography of the world. The world is shrinking now. The population of the world is shrinking. China is shrinking. Most of the countries are shrinking in size. India is still growing, but that will not last long. I will explain what's good about it. I'll explain what's bad about it. And what's bad about it is, this is why do we need technological entrepreneurship. This is the demographic pyramid, and this particular one is for Israel. So this is the demographic pyramid of Israel, and what you have here is, on the right is the number of females, on the left number of males, as a function of age. So you see that in Israel, we have many young children and less older children until you reach the age of 100. Only a few women are left, and all the men said goodbye. This is Israel. And the number of children per woman in Israel is 3, about 3. In my family, it's 4. Now, this is China. I chose China as an example. Most of the world looks like this. This demographic pyramid doesn't look like a pyramid. It looks like a mushroom. What does it mean? It means that you have a small number of children. A large number are within the working age, internationally defined as 15 to 65. So many people work, few children, and few old people. This means very low dependency ratio. What does it mean? It means that the number of people that work is large compared to the number of people that they have to support. In Israel, it's the opposite. In Israel, we have to support many young children and less people work. But in China, for instance, most of the people, as you can see, are within the working age. What is the problem? The problem is the future. In the future, China and many other countries, most of your countries, will not have young people to work and support the economy. Let me show you examples. The number of children per woman in China is 1.6. Europe in general is 1.5. In the Far East, it is 1 child per woman and sometimes less. So this is the comparison, totally different. One, it looks like a pyramid. The other one looks like the mushroom. Okay. When you have 1 child per family, this is 3 generations with 1 child per family. So that little kid will have to produce much more GDP per capita to support the older generations. How will this 1 child can do that? This is the subject of my talk. I will explain later. This is 1 child per woman. When you have 3.2 children per woman, that's the way it looks. Many children to support the family. This is my family, by the way. So what can we do? Well, we can encourage larger families. And many governments do that. Russia, for instance, is even succeeding doing it a little bit. Encourage larger families. And the government can do a lot to encourage it. When I say government, I mean central government, city government, province government. They all can provide conditions in which women would like to give more children and develop career, not stay at home. And number two, encourage technological entrepreneurship. And this is the subject of our talk today. So what is technological entrepreneurship? It's establishment of a new technology venture. Has to be new, has to do with technology, and it's a venture. Some win, some lose. So why is technological entrepreneurship important for the well-being of societies, countries, and the world? Why is it so important? Well, let's look at the world today. Struggling economies. Struggling economies. The money that you have invested in technology is going down. And many countries, real struggle in the market. Local tribal war. And now we have an international war between Russia and Ukraine. Before, we only had tribal wars within countries. Now it is becoming an international problem. And consequently, waves of refugees. This continues for many years now. Africa is moving towards Europe by boats, any other way. So, and this is just one example. Waves of refugees. So building sustainable economy requires development of human ingenuity. I'll say it once, I'll say it again. Human ingenuity is the most valuable natural resource in every country. It's not the oil, it's not the minerals, it's human ingenuity. And it doesn't grow by itself. We have to invest a lot to create a generation which is blessed with human ingenuity. The most important natural resource of every country. And how can we do that? Well, first of all, obviously, good basic education to all. Has to be good, and it has to be for everybody. Not only to the people in the capital of the country or the larger cities, also the people in the villages. The people in the villages have more children per woman. They will support the economy in the future. They have to be well educated, at least basic education. You don't go with the cows to the field, you go to school, boys and girls. Number two, good engineering and science education. Of course, technological entrepreneurship depends on good science and good engineering. So we need more good scientists and engineers. Government policy and support. Governments can do a lot to support entrepreneurship, a lot. And free market economy. Of course, free market. You produce, you sell, you buy, and it sounds natural. But let me tell you something. I gave this talk in one of the South American countries, in South America, in the parliament. I gave this talk in the parliament. Once, and they agreed with everything and were very happy. Once I said free market economy, they said no. No. Free market economy means that America will come and take everything. And I said, you know, if you will protect your products, you will not be able to sell them in the world and your economy will die. You have to allow competition. You have to support competition so that you will improve. Free market economy, very important. And last but not least, maybe the most important, no corruption. Corruption kills everything, including entrepreneurship. I can give you many examples how corruption not only affects the whole country, it affects every individual who is trying to open a company. Corruption kills. It has to be stopped as much as we can. Now then, let's say that there are countries that have all this. Good basic education for all, good engineering and science education, on and on, no corruption. Are they necessarily entrepreneurial countries? Not necessarily. There are many countries who have all this, but they're not entrepreneurial. So also needed is development of entrepreneurial spirit and knowledge. Entrepreneurship is a spirit. It's not, it's, people talk about it. People talk about it in the classroom, people talk about it in the street, and you create an atmosphere of entrepreneurship. It's not easy, but it is done. In my country, definitely. And knowledge. What does it mean, knowledge? Well, born to be an technological entrepreneur. Some people say that if your father had a company, and every day at the dinner table you discuss money and production and export and import, then you are born entrepreneur. But our parents were not like this. Most of our parents were not like this. So we cannot be entrepreneurs? Not necessarily. Some say to become successful entrepreneur, you have to be born with it. Not so. Can we teach technological entrepreneurship? Yes, we can and we should. Can we teach physics? Yes. Can we teach mathematics? Yes. Can we teach psychology? Yes. Can we teach entrepreneurship? Yes. You can teach how to do it. It's an how-to course, how to do it right. So who teaches entrepreneurship today? There are universities in the world who teach entrepreneurship. Usually, they teach it. How do they teach it? Startup management in MBA programs. If you go to the Ivy League universities in the United States, in their MBA program, they teach startup management. Problem is, MBA startup managers do not usually open new high-tech startups. They know how to manage a startup, but these are not the people who open the companies. So, who opens startups? Well, it's the engineers, biologists, medical doctors, scientists, computer experts that start new high-tech companies. These are the people that start these companies. Well, in this case, whom and where should we teach based on that? We should teach youth in high school. Yes. You can start teaching young people how to open a startup company and succeed in it. And young people are eager to listen. Young people will really follow you. You can teach it in high school. And of course, in universities, these are the people that will graduate very soon, and they can open a startup. When you teach engineering, when you teach science, when you teach medical doctors, teach them how to open a company. Maybe some of them will do just that. Not necessarily immediately, but it will be stuck in their heads that this may be a good idea, and we can do it sometime in the future. And technicians. Don't forget the technicians. These are the people that can push the buttons on the numerical control machines that do the machining. They can open companies. Teach them how to do it. Now I come to the reason I talk about it. I talk about technological entrepreneurship. And the reason is that in 1987, I opened a technological entrepreneurship class at the Technion. Technion is my university in Haifa, Israel. Why did I do that? Let's go back to when I was a student. When I was a student, the spirit of my university said, not in words, but in spirit, you will be so good that when you graduate, everybody will want to hire you. And I said, this is wonderful, but what if I want to open my own technology business? Why didn't you teach me how to do that? Professor said, no. We do not teach how to. We teach principles here. Very well. So I really wanted to listen to lectures about entrepreneurship, And in 1986, I became a full professor. And in the next year, I said, well, now I can do whatever I want. And I opened this class, and I was student number 1. I sat in the first row, listened to invited speakers. So how does the class work? I will explain a little bit about the class because I would like some of you to copy it, because it will be excellent for everybody. So over the last, it's not 31 years, it's more than that. I have conducted technological entrepreneurship class at the Technion. And how does the class work? Number 1, it is open to all. Every student in my university can take this class, regardless of what they study. Number 2, the class was large. In the first year, I had 600 students in my class every week. 600 students is a large number in a university classroom every week. And later on, it became something like 300. All lectures are given by invited speakers. I cannot teach entrepreneurship. What do I know? Bring invited speakers. And these invited speakers are divided into 3 groups. Group number 1 are successful entrepreneurs. These are the people that started from 0. They were hungry when they started it. And now they are billionaires. They come and tell our students how they started, where did they get the first money, how did they find partners, how did they study the market, how did they sell the first product. And you hear fantastic stories from these people, and the students learn. Successful entrepreneur, group number 1. Group number 2, new startup entrepreneurs. These are people that opened a company 2 years ago, 5 years ago, and are still struggling to make their company a success story. And number 3 are the professionals. So who are the professionals? Well, I bring a lawyer who tells the students what is a limited company and why you should open a limited company and not take the financial burden on your narrow shoulders. I bring the patent officer of the country who tell them about IP, intellectual property. How do you protect your intellectual property? Should you protect your intellectual property? And so on. I bring somebody who talks about market survey. Market survey means that you have to know the market you're going into before you even start. Who is the competition? What is the price range? What are the direction of development? You have to be an expert in the field before you go before you open a company. And I bring somebody who talks about marketing. Okay, now you have a product. When do you start to sell your product? When it's perfect? Well, yes, if you're Mercedes-Benz or Microsoft, you wait until your product is perfect, then you sell it. But your company is small. You are not one of these large companies, and you need cash flow. You sell, then fix. If it needs fixing, fix later. Start selling, you need cash flow now. Very practical advices and many, many more advices to the young students. Say a word about motivation. This is what we tell our students. The motivation should be the startup itself. No, don't think about money. Money will come if you are successful. Money is a byproduct of a successful startup. Think about your startup. Number 2, money is a byproduct, as I just said. And then there are cultural considerations. In many countries, and in particular, in the Far East, but not only, also in some countries in Europe, there are cultural considerations, and that is fear of failure. In some countries, failure is a shame. It's a shame on you, it's a shame on your family, God forbid, it's a shame on the Prime Minister. So people say, because there's a risk, and many fail, I'm not taking this risk. Because there is a good chance I will fail, and it's a shame. And my message is, failure okay. Start again. It's not a shame on you, it's not a shame on anybody. You fail first time, no problem. Start again. Next time you have a much better chance to succeed because now you are an experienced entrepreneur. Government role. Well, government, this was done in my country. Government can open incubators. Incubator is a place that a startup company can rent or even get for free with help from the government to start a new startup. And there are many in my country. Partnership with VC funds, I will skip that. I don't want to go into details. Form chief scientist office in every ministry. In my country, Israel, there's a chief scientist in every office, in every government office. Minister of Health, Minister of Education, Minister of Agriculture. Every minister has a chief scientist. A chief scientist is a scientist, a real scientist, who is the bridge between the scientists and entrepreneurs and the government. He or she can talk to the government and can talk also to the entrepreneurs. This is the bridge. Okay. But in addition to that, in each ministry, we have the, with capital T, the chief scientist. The chief scientist, by the way, currently it's one of my ex-students. He did his master's with me. The chief scientist has a budget to distribute to startups and to distribute to good ideas. What is the budget in my country? $500 million, $500 million every year. The chief scientist can give to startups and good ideas of technology and so on. $500 million. It is a loan if you succeed. Then you return it slowly. Return it to the government. If you fail, it was a gift. So there is no risk taking this money. And many people use this money to form startups. And you can copy it. And support industrial innovation R&D in startups. And signed binational agreements and support binational funds. So many of your countries have binational agreements and binational funds that can support good ideas in both countries. And form and support instruction advice centers for emerging startups. In your city, there should be a center, an office, that young people or not so young people with a startup can come for advice. Whom say they do not have the money to hire lawyers and to hire accountants and so on, and they still need good advice, they can get good advice for free in a center in our cities and should be in your cities too. Now, venture capital funds is an issue. How does venture capital fund works? Here's a man who turns to several rich people who can lose money without crying too much, and say, I open a venture capital fund. I will invest your money in something that I think is right in the field of whatever the field is, medicine or computers or whatever it is. And after several years, 5, 7 years, I will give you your money back with a profit, minus what I get from it, which is management fees. And they give you money. Is it good or bad? Well, it's very good because this money is available to good ideas. But the problem is that after 5 or 7 years, the venture capital fund will come to you as a startup and say, we need the money back because we need to return it to the investors. And in 5 years, you may not be successful enough. So the venture capital will take your company, sell the IP, and the company is gone, and you are left with nothing after investing a wonderful part of your life in trying to make this company a success. This is why I am against venture capital funds. Now, there are benefits, but this is the bad side of it. So how does venture capital fund work? I just explained to you. And what is the problem? I just did. So where should we go and seek funding for our startups? Number one is angels, in my book. Angels are people in your field that were very successful to the extent that they had an exit And now they have deep pockets with hundreds of millions of dollars that they would like to invest. They would like to invest it in something in which they are experts. And this is you. So you come to that person, and this is a very good money source, because these angels don't just give you money like venture capital funds, they give you very good advice because they are in your field and they're really interested in the success of your company. So they will create connections for you around the world, and they will instruct you how to succeed. These are angels. Number two, strategic partners. Once you have a product, you realize that if you want to go international, yes, you can make the products, but you cannot make millions of products because you don't have the capacity to produce it. So you come to a large company who has the market, and tell them, hey, I have this product, it may interest you, let's form partnership. I will make the product, you will sell it. And sometimes, and in many cases, the big company will say, yeah, that's a good idea. We really don't have your product in our product line. We can sell you a product, but do certain changes. Change the color, use different microelectronics and so on, and they will help you to better shape your product, and you form strategic partnership. That's very good. Bootstrapping. Bootstrapping means open a company with no money. How can you open a company with no money? Well, you have something of value. The something of value is your company that you just opened. You need a computer scientist to help you produce the software for your product. Go to somebody and say, come help me, produce it for me. I cannot pay you, but I can give you a part of my company. And together, we'll be successful. And remember, right now, the value of your company is zero. With this man, it will be a success. So give this man or woman a nice part of your zero. All right? Give them a nice part, and you will have a chance to make big, and then everybody will be happy. Okay, this is bootstrapping. And VC funds, I mentioned, I don't like them. But that doesn't mean anything. I personally have a problem with them. What money you should not use? Is the money that you should not use? Yes. Don't take money. If you do not have deep pockets, do not use your own money. Don't sell your apartment or car for a wonderful idea, because you are liable to lose your apartment, your car, and your family in the process. Don't use your money unless you have very deep pockets. And most people don't have very deep pockets. Don't use your money. Use other people's money. And do not take money from relatives or friends. So Aunt Sarah gave you $100,000 to open a company. And 2 weeks later, she called you. Hello, how are we doing? Are we making money already? Oh, no, Aunt Sarah, it will take years. Years? I thought within weeks we'll get money. No, don't take money from relatives. That's a bad idea. You are liable to use your relatives. Now, Israel has more than 10,000 engineers and scientists that took my technological entrepreneurship class. Israel is a very small country. And more than 10,000 people, by far more than 10,000 students, took my class. It has an effect on the country. Single person, one idea, good class, and that continues for year after year after year. It continues today. And we recently made a research, not a research, just a survey of what happened to them. And turns out that 25% of them were involved in startups. Amazing. Now, how do you create a generation that wants, of young people who want to become engineers and scientists? They asked me this question on the radio interview. And I said, start teaching science early. And then that was it. 1 minute after the broadcast is off, the mayor of Haifa calls me from his car. He was just listening to me, and he said, Danny, we know each other. Did you say early science education? I said, yep. He said, how early? I said, kindergarten. Teach science in kindergarten. He said, really? Will you do it in Haifa? I said, do you pay? He said, I will pay. And we did it. And we started early science education in kindergartens in Haifa. And then another thing that I did was a television science program for kids. They created for me in the National Educational Television Channel. On the set, they created for me a laboratory, and they brought 3 young children, not kindergarten. This was first and second grade children who came to me, and we discussed science, real science, no nonsense, real science. Also in the kindergarten, it is real science. This is my television program. These are the 3 children, and we discuss a scientific program. And this is, by the way, on the internet. You can watch it, but chance that you will understand is 0 because it's in Hebrew. But you can see what's going on there. If you put to be a scientist with Professor Dan, this is the name of the program, to be a scientist with Professor Dan, you can see it, but it is in Hebrew. And this is the kindergarten program, and it is in Haifa. We started it in 60 kindergartens, 60 kindergartens. But this was just talking, but one kindergarten is an actual building that contains a laboratory, and this is the laboratory. And when you enter the laboratory, when it's empty, you think, oh, very nice university laboratory. But then there are 10 young children sitting there with laboratory coats, performing experiments very seriously. These kids are between 5 and 6 years old. And this is the teacher that stands with me, can teach high school students. She has masters in chemistry, but she prefers to teach young children. This is real science, real science. And the children are not special children. They are the children from the neighborhood. This is fantastic. And after the class, they sit down, take off the laboratory coats, they hang them, and sit down, and the teacher makes sure that they understood everything. So she discusses all the experiments with them to make sure that each and every one of them understood everything. It's a conversation with the children. Okay, some of you may know this book, Startup Nation. It's about my country, which is nicknamed Startup Nation. We have many, many startups in Israel, and many of them are quite successful. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Danny, as always. You know, you can stay a little bit here. So you saw the researcher, you saw the politician, you saw the entrepreneur, everything in one package here. You know, and always I used to say the best politicians and entrepreneurs are those that come from scientific background. Is that true?
And engineering.
And sure, engineering, don't forget engineering, good. So this is a theme to be explored, and probably next year I suggest you to elaborate on this.
Okay, thank you.